Better late than never, I suppose. Welcome to another DragonLance Saga Order of Aesthetics news episode. It is Bakukul Paleswelt the 19th. My name is Adam, and today I was sifting through the Iconic Chronos and ran across this exciting bit of news. Wizards of the Coast posted a video announcing the pre-order of DragonLance Shadow of the Dragon Queen and DragonLance Warriors of Krynn. I'd like to take a moment and thank the members of this YouTube channel and invite you to consider becoming a member by visiting the link in the description below. You can even pick up DragonLance gaming materials using my affiliate link. Now, the release date, the TLDR is this. You can pre-order the physical book. You can pre-order the digital book, but they come together. If you want to order them both, there's a bundle. Or you can order the deluxe edition, which includes the board game. Those are your three options that I've been able to lock down. I'm going to have the artwork running in the background, and then we're going to stop the artwork and sort of walk through some of it, because I think some of it is going to be germane and leak some of the information about these actual games. And I am a little concerned because of what I'm seeing. So we'll get into that as soon as it's appropriate here. But yeah, again, so you have the Shadow of the Dragon Queen bundle, which has the physical book and the digital early access on D&D Beyond. You have the Shadow of the Dragon Queen Deluxe Edition bundle, which has the physical book, a DM screen, the Warriors of Krynn board game, and the digital early access book on D&D Beyond. Again, that's the one I ordered because it's the only one available that you can actually get the board game with, which I think is very, very important. You cannot yet buy the board game separately. And they say that there is a limited number. So if you want that board game at all, I would highly recommend you pre-order it as soon as possible before they are completely sold out. And then the final one is just the Shadow of the Dragon Queen. Hey, Chris, good morning. Shadow of the Dragon Queen digital version from D&D Beyond. So you got your three options, and they go up in price immediately to the actual deluxe edition is, where's my price here? I already pre-ordered it. It's $154.98 US dollars. And in the US, it'll ship for free. If you're outside of the US, you're going to pay astronomical shipping because that's just the insane world that we live in. You know, couriers are not free. So what I'd like to do, aside from having my coffee this morning, is, you know what, I'm like off to this side. Let me get a little more in the center. Is go through this different, like, what it's all about, right? So the TLDR is the release date is December 6th, 2022, a few months. Early access to the digital content if you purchase the bundle or just the digital book or the deluxe version that comes with the bundle as well. You'll have access on November 22nd. So you can expect me to read through and review Dragons of the Shadow Queen sometime after November 22nd. And if you're unable to buy the actual deluxe version, I already have ordered it, so you'll see an unboxing. I'll go through everything with you step by step so that you can get a good solid understanding of what this board game is, and I'll even play some of the games, some of the scenarios live. It does really sound like they're mimicking the battle system integration from first edition. Like, straight up, that is exactly what it sounds like to me. But we'll have to see. Hey, Angus, how you doing? Good morning. You a big fan of Dragonlance back in the 90s? Read all the books the library had. Tons of material. You hope this channel gets traction. Oh, thank you, Angus. It's doing okay. So far, I don't know. I mean, I'm waking up. But, you know, we have a bunch of really great fervent Dragonlance fans that come here. Some people come and leave because they don't like some of the takes on videos or characters or anything that I have. But you know what? For everyone else, you're more than welcome to stay and hang around for a while. I have a ton of content on here already over the past year since I've started this channel. Okay, so the overview is this. The army of the evil Dragon Queen marches across Krynn, opposed by an alliance of desperate defenders. On the battlefield and beyond, it is up to a band of adventurers to turn the tide of the war and save Krynn. Experience these heroes' adventures in Shadow of the Dragon Queen Deluxe Edition, a unique experience that connects the Shadow of the Dragon Queen Dungeons & Dragons role-playing adventures for the characters of level 1 through 11 with the mass combat battles of the Warriors of Krynn cooperative board game. So that's the integration that we're talking about, whereas with the original Dragonlance modules, you would just play through them, and at certain points, I think it was starting at like DL7, you could then, I think it's like Dragons of Ice, you could then move over to the battle system and run this battle scenario of the Battle of the Ice Reaches was the first one, I believe. But then, of course, when battle system was first released, it came with the Battle for Quelanost scenario. And that's on my channel as well. I played that with a friend, Derek, over at his place, and it was a good time. A little convoluted rules, but it was a good time. I expect this is going to be a much easier game to be able to get into. Hey, Solo Wolf, thanks for joining live. Okay, so the key features of this, Heroes of War. Provides character creation rules highlighting core elements of the DragonLance setting, including the Kender race and new backgrounds for the Knights of Solamnia and Mage of High Sorcery magic users. Their phrasing, I think, is strange. Mage of High Sorcery. They've always been known as the Wizards of High Sorcery. Can't you just refer to them as the Wizards of High Sorcery? There's our DM screen right there. It introduces the Lunar Sorcerer subclass with new spells that bind your characters to Krynn's 3 mystical moons and imbues you with lunar magic. And Dragonlance introduces the Dragonlance setting to 5th edition and the overview of what players and DMs need to run adventures during this world-spanning conflict of the War of the Lance. So that's the overview, so that it's not just an adventure, it's also a bit of a source book. And though, how in depth it's going to go, what we have, obviously we're going to have to wait and see, but I think it's interesting that we're going to be getting not just the adventures that will take you from level 1 to level 11. And it's not an adventure that deals specifically with what the companions do in the War of the Lands. They say it deals with a new artifact and someone's seeking something else. And so we're going to get into that here in just a bit of speculation, a little bit of fun for your Friday morning. But let's continue. World at War. Participate in an epic war story set during the War of the Lands. Villains. It pits heroes against the infamous Death Knight Lord Soth and his army of draconians. This is my first bit of contention. At no point ever was Lord Soth a commander in the Dark Queen's forces. Never. He only worked with Kidiara because he respected her as a Dragon High Lord. That was it. He didn't give a damn about Takhisis. He didn't give a damn about Lord Ericus. He was on his own, and he never was in command of draconians. That's absurd. He has his own Death Knight army of skeletal warriors. And it's not even a ton of them either. It was just everyone that served him in life. And so that's always kind of bugged me. You would have expected an Undead Legion. Randy, you and I are on the same page. I would have totally expected Undead Legion too. It doesn't make any sense to me. And it actually makes me worry because there's artwork here that is weird. Okay. So, what else? Battle scenarios. The board game offers 12 different scenarios of varying difficulty, 6 of them with content customized for interacting with encounters in the Shadow of the Dragon Queen. So 6 of the 12 scenarios in this board game immediately tie into the adventure that you could play with Dungeons & Dragons. The other 6 can be played just with the board game in and of itself, which is kind of cool. I appreciate that. So the battlefield. It presents a set of double-sided battlefield and encounter tiles for building unique battlefields with diverse environments. It makes me think that this is going to be a hybrid of their D&D adventure game system, and you've seen that played here on my channel with some customized adventures to tell some sort of stories. One of them was with Lord Soth, actually, and his slipping into Ravenloft and coming back from it. So that was a bit of fun. The battlefield, so yeah, I like the idea of building unique environments and sort of, playing your own little scenarios, but how replayable this will be has yet to be determined, and I'm hoping that it's something that's going to be easily integrated into the rest of any type of game system, right? The biggest problem with any integration is how do you bring your playing character with all of the individual characteristics and traits that your character has into a board game with established rules and stuff like that. In Battle System, it was easy because it was all based on Advanced Dungeons & Dragons rules generically. This, however, it doesn't seem like it is. So it'll be an interesting integration, to say the least, I think. So the Warriors of Krynn game components include 6 highly detailed hero figures, which you're seeing now, 6 hero boards. I don't know what that means. It must be like the character card. 136 plastic unit markers for your battle, your war, your heroes and villains and soldiers, etc. 10 double-sided battle tiles to create your battleground, 22 double-sided adventure tiles to create your battlegrounds, 7 custom dice, so you get a nice customized Dragonlance dice set, which is dope, 92 tokens, 320 cards, which are going to be obviously played throughout the game, 7 card dividers, 1 storage tray, 1 rule book, 1 scenario book, and 1 key moments tracker. So there's going to be probably timeline, or like a timeline for each battle. You have to finish in so many rounds, or else X side wins or loses, is my assumption here. Let's see. Fighting an undead dragon would be epic. Yes, and you can actually do that with D&D Adventure System now. You're disappointed by Kinsaldi Fire Eyes. Couldn't they have chosen an existing character from canon? I don't know what that reference is. Sounds like you need to homebrew some of the rules and then themes. Yeah, I think we're definitely going to be doing that. Okay, so by purchasing that deluxe edition, it includes the pre-order, grants you early access to Shadows of the Dragon Queen on D&D Beyond starting November 22nd, 2022. D&D Beyond digital copy of Shadow of the Dragon Queen adventure book, which is also, couples as the source book for Dragonlance. Shadows of the Dragon Queen printed deluxe edition contains the following. Shadow of the Dragon Queen adventure book with an exclusive foil cover. I'm assuming the exclusive foil cover is going to be an alternate version of the existing cover art. Now, they did say that Lord Soth cover, which you're going to see here in the background in a minute, that Lord Soth cover was available for game store purchase. It's like a special edition cover, so I'm not sure if that's the special deluxe edition foil cover they're referring to, though it would make sense with all of the metal on Lord Soth's helmet. Let's see. Warriors of Krynn, a cooperative mass battle game pitting the heroes and their allies against the fearsome Dragon Army, designed by Rob Davio and Stephen Baker. And a Dungeon Master screen found only in this deluxe edition for use with your D&D adventures, which I'm super stoked on. Give me a customized Dragonlance Dungeon Master screen. Yes, please. This will get me to play 5th edition 100%, just to play that adventure. I wonder if we should do it on this channel. Like, if we should get a bunch of us together and just run through the adventure together. Would that be fun? Would you guys want to join me on that? Okay, so that is the entirety of it. So let's walk through some of these images, because some of these images are straight up dope and some of them are straight up freaking weird. All right, so I'm hitting the wrong button here. Okay, so this is, here, let me move my ugly mug out of the way. Dang it. Move out the way. So that's the actual Warriors of Krynn game itself. You can see your rule book, the scenario book, all your tokens, the battle maps, the characters, and everything. This is a proper board game, which I'm very, very excited for. And I do really appreciate that they're focusing, that bringing Dragonlance in for the wargaming aspect of it. Now, I never thought of Dragonlance as a war game world. I know that sounds stupid because it's set in the War of the Lance or the Blue Ladies War or the Chaos War, etc., etc. I always saw it as individual heroes going on adventures that was set in a background of a war. And so, yes, in Dragons of Spring Dawning, we got direct warlike moments, and, 1 or 2 of them in Dragons of Winter Night. But other than that, it was all just the companions going about Krynn, on misadventures. And so that's what, when I think of Dragonlance, I just don't think of a war game. Though if you're thinking of it as a corporation and what can we bring new to Dungeons & Dragons that is not going to just be cookie cutter of everything else that preceded it and bring something fresh to the actual game itself, well, wargaming, of course. That's the one element that was missing from the beginning. It was chainmail originally, then it was battle system, and then it was battle system 2.0, and then it was sort of like disappeared as far as I know. And there was no real wargaming component until now, Warriors of Krynn, which is, again, pretty exciting. It looks like I'm wearing one of those weird shirts. It's just really hot, and so I have my buttons undone. I'm not wearing like a weird, Tibetan shirt or something. All right, so what's next here? Come on now. There we go. So these are some of the figures. This looks like a rogue. This is the original cover for the D&D Beyond digital and the original physical release of the book, you see Lord Soth in the background. You see someone riding a red dragon, which looks awesome. You see some draconians in the foreground, which looks a little bit strange to me, but we'll get into that here in a little bit with some of these others. A solid Crumby, we definitely should. That'd be dope. Blake, as a nerd of Dragonlance, you're super excited for this. Yeah, me too, man. I think everyone on this channel is pretty much in the same crazy boat. Let's see. The release info said key enemies, including Priest of Takhisis, Kensaldi, Fire Eyes. Did it? I don't remember reading that, but okay. I mean, they need new player character or new enemies, right? They have to create something new. So that must be Kensaldi on the back of the dragon right there. Let's see. The main perspective you get from all the authors is written from the books. Yeah, exactly. Chris would love to play. Super cool. Solo Wolf. Thanks for joining. Oh, I saw you earlier. You're stoked the Dragonlance is finally receiving some 5e love. Yeah, me too. More of the character building and war progression in the background. Yeah, that's how I saw it too. Okay, so this is the alternate cover of the adventure. And you can see that it is different because you've got a dragon flying in to some heroes rather than just sort of doing that film poster villain pose, you know, which I think is kind of cool. The style of dragons, the way they look in 5th edition, just in modern, you know, art, it's a little beefier, it's a little stockier. I'm not entirely sure I like it more than the old versions of dragons, but it does look awesome. You know, the artwork is high quality. Whether you like the version of what you see in the artwork or not is secondary to the fact that these are talented artists doing this work, and I really do appreciate it. This looks like it could be a priest for the war game. And I don't know why that was in there. And this is interesting because this is clearly the portal to the abyss. You can see the 5 dragon heads going around the blue part of it. This is artwork from the game. And this looks like a mage. And I don't know, are they stopping Takhisis or they're trying to bring Takhisis out? Because it's clearly a dragon is coming through the portal to the abyss. And of course, that's the whole point of the War of the Lance, is them trying to find the foundation stones so they can, of course, get Takhisis to come through. So are they going to be stealing elements of the original War of the Lance? Or are they going to have some like weird concurrency with the storyline? Because we all know that it was the companions, namely Karaman, Raistlin, and Evan, is it? The Everman? That stopped Takhisis. It wasn't whoever this wizard is, because I never saw Raistlin with a ponytail. Though, I don't know, maybe if it gets hot enough and he's doing his alchemy, he puts his hair back in a ponytail. I don't know. That's definitely not Raistlin. So I'm a little concerned about that, because now we're going to have, oh, well, the companions were just one group of people who were stopping Takhisis, and now there's a whole other group of people who are doing the exact same thing at different times, and Takhisis was foiled multiple times by multiple people. But there's only a certain number of portals, and they're all accounted for. So where does this come from? You know, where is this integrating? Are they completely changing Dragonlance lore as we know it in order to fit the narrative of this new adventure? That frightens me. As an obsessive, of course. And it looks like an elf, you're right. Is it Dalamar? Dalamar wears a ponytail now? He could pull a ponytail off, I think. Dalamar definitely could. But then, at this point, he wasn't even Raistlin's apprentice at this point. So, because this is during the War of the Lance. So Dalamar would have just been not even, you know, he still would have been like this little kid doing his test to high sorcery at this point. Little kid. He's like super old. All right, so this is the potential foil cover that would be dope. But they said that this book, this version of the cover of the book is to be purchased as a special version for in-store sales at gaming stores. And so I don't know if this comes with the what's it called? Deluxe edition or not. And I got to be honest, you know, I'm so used to the existing Lord Soth helmet that this does throw me off. That it looks like an interpretation, which of course it is, but why can't they just go back to the original stuff? Like, you can't tell me that it would be any worse looking if you just go back to the original Parkinson version of Lord Soth's helmet and have it sitting there looking all dope. the fact that they change it up to make it look, I don't know, more menacing or more, I don't know, whatever the concept was. You don't have to do that. You can just leave things well enough alone, and all of the fans and all the new people are going to be just as amazed, and it's going to run concurrently with all the existing Dragonlance stuff to date. So there's not going to be any weird confusion. The only time you saw a difference with Lord Soth was when he was first introduced, and he had that weird, like old school, 14th century medieval knight's helmet with like the point on it that you could lift up. Like that was the original Lord Soth. And then it changed with Dragonlance Adventures cover, and you see a Lord Soth there with a crown, and he looks all like lichy. And then it went to the Lord Soth that we know with the helm that's the one piece with the crown on it. So all of them are a little bit different, but I can't imagine, the whole point of it being black armor was that he was wearing the Solamnic armor that he fought with in life when he burned alive. And that burning and his turning to a curse blackened his armor. And so it should be reminiscent of his Solamnic armor in life. It should not be like some variation armor that he decided to put together and wear because he thought he looked cooler. I can't imagine Lord Soth sitting in front of a mirror going, give me the other one again. They have like some weird changing montage like every 80s film. You got some poppy music in the background, and he like opens the curtain to reveal his new helmet, and his skeletal warriors are sitting there like, And he does it again. He's like, yeah, that's the one. It's weird montage stuff for changing. I just don't see Lord Soth doing that. All of that is to say, I still think it looks good. It's just, it's different. And when it comes to Lord Soth, when it comes to Dragonlance in general, I'm really a purist. I want it to look like how it's always looked. And that's why they had standards for their art. So if you're first to paint a character, then everyone else has to paint the character in the same way. They have to look the same. And there's small variations therein, but they are only small ones. They're not big ones. Thanks for the imagery. Nods in your head, Cannon Blake. You're welcome. All right. Anyway, it does look cool because it wraps around the back. And if that was foil stamped, oh, that's going to look great. Oh, that's going to look amazing. Oh, and here, noticeably, I want everyone to notice, no actual Dragonlance logo. Just a type treatment, which is lazy. Just stupid and lazy. All right, so we're back to this one, and that must be that character that Chris was mentioning, Kinsaldi Fire Eyes, who, he can't be a Dragon High Lord, because, again, those are all accounted for. We all know who the Dragon High Lords are at this point in time. And if it's the Red Dragon Army, it was Verminard for a bit of time. I don't know. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about. This is the cover of the alternate deluxe edition, I'm suspecting. Well, the dragons looks different. It looks like this beefy version of a Dragonborn, not even a Draconian. It looks like a Dragonborn who sort of ate too many like Dunkin' Donuts and I don't know, decided to carry people on his back. It's weird. Even the way the fire comes out of his mouth, I think, is a little bit strange. And I'm nitpicking, I know, but that's what I do when that's all I have to do. I do love seeing it just incinerating those guys at the bottom. That's fucking crazy. I love that. It's so cool. All right, let me move my stupid face. Oh, I keep doing that. Let me lock that down. Hold on, give me 1 second. Move my dumb head out the way. Here, you move over here over the dog. I don't want to cover the dog. Here's what bothers me about this. This whole stream is just, here's what bothers me. Look at the castle. You have these statues of people. What is up with the statues of people? Why? That's like some weird Tolkien thing or some weird Greek Wrath of the Titans or something. Like, that's not Solamnia. Do they not look at any of the existing artwork, of which there is a ton, to get some sort of semblance of what Solamnic design is? Because you did not have these giant sentinel stone statue people on anywhere at all. And that's what bothers me, is that you look at this looks like Birthright. This does not look like Dragonlance. And there is a difference, and it's an important difference. And that's why it's important to carry the artwork consistently. Because now you're presenting a version of Dragonlance that is unfamiliar, and we don't have that emotional connection to it that we really need in order to want it, to need it. This does not look anything like Dragonlance to me at all. See, wasn't there just a statue of Huma? Not that I know of. And no, I mean, not at all. They had a monument that was like lost to time that they used to go to. I think over in like Aragoth or Sankrist or something like that. I can't remember right now. But like, I don't even know if that was a statue rather than like a traditional monument with like an obelisk or something like that. So I don't know, man. I'm glad that you think it looks cool. This bothers me. It just does not look like Krynn at all to me. Especially the armor. You know, where's your epaulette with like, these are clearly Knights of Solamnia. And I did a whole video on the, like the family crests of Solamnic Knights. But you should have an epaulette, something that indicates what order of the knighthood you're in. And I'm not seeing anything like that. Of course, it could just be that, you know, I'm not seeing it close enough. That kind of bothers me. Let's see. Wasn't there just a statue here? Let's see. They had a really weird love of Huma and started putting statues of him everywhere. Yeah, I don't know, man. I guess the horses should be beefier since Solamnic Knights rode war horses. Well, that's the other thing, is that these horses could not hold their weight. Like, you can't really walk around in plate mail armor. It's so heavy and bulky. And so you put that on a horse, and those horses are going to be hurting. You know, if a human can't even walk in it effectively, then you're not going to get on a regular, you know, horse. You're going to have one of those big old beefy war horses, to your point. Hey, Murtis, thanks for joining live. You like Lord of the Rings, but it's a bit thrashed out now. To emulate that is probably a mistake. I agree, Angus. I love me some Lord of the Rings, but this is Dragonlance. Let's keep it that way. Let's see, image slideshow. And then this is another version of that artwork of just the cover that's not angled, which looks pretty good. I mean, I do enjoy the artwork. I have to be honest. Even if it's not evocative of Dragonlance specifically, I still think it's beautiful. And then we have this. This really reminds me of an old player's handbook piece, like full page insert of 2nd edition, where they're like standing around holding like a dragon. It was like hanging from a tree, these adventures. That's what this reminds me of, except the dragon's much bigger. I like the idea of the wizard having an owl. You know, it's like a crystal ball. I hope that's not a dragon orb, because again, those are all accounted for. That's the biggest part about all of this, is how do you integrate a story that is world shaping, that does not bump into or take away from the existing time period that you chose to write your story in. So we're not pretending that they didn't have any other options and they could only go to this one place in time in the Age of Despair, the War of the Lands. They could have done anything they want. They have 5 ages. They could have gone way back to the 3rd Dragon War if they wanted. They chose to do this, and so they have to find a way of not completely reneging what has already come before it, but then being an interesting and engaging adventure in its own right, to feel like you had some significant contribution to the final outcome. And how do you do that without bumping into them? I don't know. We're going to find out. I'd like to think that they can do it. It's not impossible, but it's a challenge. This is a rehash of an old Magic the Gathering card that I actually have, because I got it from Tracy Hickman during his when he first started up his Dragonhearth live stream from a gaming store down here, just like 20 minutes away from me. He was giving away prizes to people who were like tuning into the live stream, and I tuned in one time. Well, I tuned in a few times, but the one time that I did tune in, he was doing a contest for this particular card of Magic the Gathering, and I ended up winning it. It is a beautiful image, but again, it's rehashed artwork. It's not original to Dragonlance, and so that makes me wonder how much of those other pieces that I was complaining about are just rehashed or not. Dragonlance deserves its original artwork because it's that good of a setting. Here we go. This looks original. That's got to be that bad guy, Chris, that you were talking about as well. Yeah, Randy, that was Tiamat, but they're saying it was going to be Takhisis in this one. Again, this is very, you put a ring wraith on the back of one of those black dragons, and this could very well just be a generic Lord of the Rings, army image. But because it's a red dragon, because there's a nice little halberd up there, and I don't know. I want to look at that armor of this new bad guy. And it can't be the red dragon army, right? Or the red wing of the dragon army. It's got to be a different, or a contingent of it. It's got to be a different battalion or a different platoon of the red wing in order to make it makes logical sense. We think of, I did a whole video on the dragon armies, so you can see how they're all broken down. But you have to fit within those confines. Otherwise, it's no longer part of the Dragon Queen's army. It's something separate. And this is all supposed to be Takhisis' dragon armies. And so we need it to fit within the existing confines in order for it to make logical sense. Not to say they will, but that's what they should do. Let's see. Magic the Gathering artwork is super influential. It's beautiful. I mean, it's just beautiful. See, Wizards is already offering pre-order for minimum of that dragon, $94. Oh, really? A miniature of the dragon. I didn't know that. That's cool. I haven't even seen that anywhere, and I've been looking. So you're gonna have to share a link in chat if you can, if you have an opportunity. That'd be cool. All right, we got a Solamnic Knight here, which looks cool. This looks pretty stern Brightblade, with the helmet, but I don't think it's him. I think it's just a Knight of Solamnia, which is cool. This comes with that Warriors of Krynn board game. Okay, this is the one that really bothers me. It looks cool, but here's what bothers me. Lord Soth didn't ride dragons. He never rode a dragon. In fact, he ran away from Kyan Bloodbane when Raceland Magir literally sicked Kyan Bloodbane on him. They battled, but he didn't ride dragons. And this looks like an undead dragon of some variety, which is still, again, really, really cool. But it's putting Lord Soth in a position in the dragon armies that he never was. He never worked for Takhisis. He just worked with Kitiara out of respect. That was it. And then out of obsession. So it bothers me because it recontextualizes, yet again, a familiar villain that has an established, very rich, very strong story that you don't need to add to. You don't need to embellish. He didn't give a damn about Takhisis. So why would he fight for her? I don't know. That stuff bothers me. Let's see. It was determined that Takhisis was never to be linked in cross-realm adventures, that she would never, ever be linked to Tiamat in official canon and lore. That's how it was originally, Randy, but they have changed that in D&D 5th edition. In Fizban's Treasury of Dragons, they straight up said that Fizban Paladine is Bahamut and Takhisis is Tiamat, and in the multiverse, that's how they are. Which bothers me, because again, you are quoting correctly from how Dragonlance was created and the original intention, but they have changed that. I don't know. So this really bothers me. I don't like the idea of Lord Soth being an advocate for the Queen of Darkness, because that takes away from his own story, his own narrative, which is one of pain and suffering. It is not one of a desire of conquest. And there is a huge important part of that, because it completely recontextualizes the character. See, who's the Dragon High Lord on first plane? That's a good question. Yeah, Edward. I will never let go of first edition. I love it so much. TSR did that, though, and they killed Tiamat in Forgotten Realms the same time they nixed Takhisis. Solo Wolf, that's news to me. I've never heard that they tried to connect that in any other edition. I would love sources for that information, because I think it's interesting, just as a fan. They ended up changing their mind as Tiamat was revived in Forgotten Realms. Oh, okay. It's interesting. That's definitely not Ski at all. I love it how people argue Ski and Sky, but if you speak the English language, IE is an E sound. It's not an I sound. That's why they have the letter Y. But people get so upset. Little halfling with a cute little hat. I mean, at least they didn't do the typical top knot, which I personally like, but, you know, they're trying to make it original and different, which is cool. It's a hell of a sling, though. Look at that. That reminds me of, like Huck Finn and Tom Sawyer going down the Mississippi with their bag of food tied at the end of a stick, you know? That's the board game, the container of the board game itself. Oh, it says Shadow of the Dragon Queen Deluxe Edition, so I guess the board game comes inside of a larger box, which is a box inside of a box. It's Inception. Oh, that was definitely a Kender with a hoop pack. I was just making jokes. Mistook the Abyss for the first layer of the Nine Hells. Oh, interesting. Game of Thrones influences. Ooh, that could be interesting. I do love me some Game of Thrones, to be honest. I'm stoked about the new series. And then we got our the first look of the DM screen. It's a lot of red. Give me some blues. Give me some greens. Are we like low on color? We only have certain options. Like I think that for me, the most evocative images of Dragonlance include vast landscapes and skies, and you know, you have that amazing image of Lorana standing over Stern Brightblade's body on the High Claris Tower, and you see the sky behind them, and that is really Dragonlance to me. You know, the Dragons of Summer Flame, where it has that image of Usha and Tasselhoff, and it's got Palin and Steel, you know, fighting a Chaos Dragon as a cover. That was very red like this, but it's because they were in the Abyss. And so I wonder if that's what they're trying to evoke here is, you know, this battle to try to keep Takhisis in the Abyss, or a battle of the Abyss or something. Maybe it's just a big war scene. I don't know. You know, whatever it is, I'm looking forward to having it and just showing it off to everyone once it comes in the mail. Got a little dwarf here. Looks like a big hammer, man. And it looks like an elf or a half-elf archer, ranger type. You know, they're just trying to get all of those tropes of character types for you to play in that board game. And there's the board game. Interesting. Is that it? Is that everything? I think that's it and everything. Okay. So, yeah, what do you guys think? You blame Tanis for your love of half-elves? Tanis is awesome. Everything about Tanis is awesome. I'm just going to let this run for the background. Let's see. Every minute, I'll just have it switch up. So that's all I wanted to talk about. I wanted to share that the pre-order is going on right now. You can go to the link in the description of the video itself, or you just go to dnd.wizards.com or dndbeyond.com, and it'll have you know, the notification there. They're also going to be integrating a bunch of other digital tool sets in addition to the D&D Beyond options, where they're, you know, right now they're play testing like a Roll20 type game, a virtual game table, which looks really cool, and you're supposed to be able to adjust your characters and stuff with that too. That's supposed to be coming out in a few years from now. I think they said 2024 or something like that. So, you know, you can start playtesting materials now. They're working on the next version of the game, though they're saying it's not a new version. They're not going to be doing new versions. They just have Dungeons & Dragons, no more editions. It's all going to be built on the back of 5th edition, but they are going to be changing it, and they said that everything that came before is still going to be compatible and still work with this new version of 5th edition. You know, so it's basically the 5.5 edition of Dungeons & Dragons, and that's where they're planning right now, although they did the same thing in 4th edition, so who knows. That's where they're planning on keeping Dungeons & Dragons moving forward. Is the base game is a base streamlined version of 5th edition, and then they're just going to sort of build on that for different worlds and different options and stuff like that. So that's what they came out with. I'm really stoked because finally we're getting more Dragonlance, and even if it's in an edition that I do not play, I will play it just to play that campaign. and of course the board game integration, and then just play the board game. And I'll do it all on this channel so all of you can experience my really terrible rolls, which are just a staple of my gameplay. If you're interested, I will try to do it outside of the confines of the 3 weekly episodes that I release regularly. I can't promise I'll be able to keep that because I have a life, but I will do my best to do that. So, we'll see. Lord Soth in the back of a dragon. I love seeing it, but I don't really like it either because of what it could mean. Oh well, what are you going to do, right? Well, thank you guys so much for joining me this morning. I hope you enjoyed the Dragonlance imagery and banter, but that is it for this OA News episode, or Aesthetics News. Are you looking forward to the Dragonlance Sourcebook for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition? Do you prefer early editions of the game? Feel free to email me at info@dlsaga.com or comment below. I would like to take a moment and remind you to subscribe to this YouTube channel, click the bell to get notified about upcoming videos, and click that stupid like button. All of that goes to help other Dragonlance fans learn about this channel and its content. And of course, this channel is all about celebrating the wonderful world of the Dragonlance Saga. And I thank you for joining me in the celebration. My name is Adam with DragonLance Saga, and until next time, Slanjivar. Edward.